brought here. We'll be also having moderators who will be able to ask questions on behalf of us. Also, we still have an opportunity to also ask questions that really are relevant to our ideas. Maybe on businesses that maybe some of us are doing online, and others maybe questions that maybe have been bothering you on the public service, because we have guests drawn from all those areas. And without much ado, we are going to start calling a guest in front here to help us with the discussion, and also we are going to introduce the panel discussants. Okay, first I'll start with the first guest will be Mr. James Maganda. He has been talking to us this morning. He has been patient, and I'll ask him to come in front as we will Mr. James Oganda will tell you, you heard that OTW stands for Order of Golden Warrior. He was awarded by the President. On his education background, he joined Kenya School of Monetary Studies for diploma in banking. He also did a bachelor's degree at the University of Nairobi. He also joined Cambridge University in the United Kingdom for diploma in advanced theory and practice management and practice, and later did master's in human resource management. So he has a good education background, so he's a very resourceful person to have this afternoon. On his career growth and development, he started banking in the year 1985. In the year 2005, he was a bank supervisor. He was promoted to be a bank supervisor. In the year 2009, he rose to a manager in operations. In 2011, he was a senior manager. 2017, and a head of business. And currently, he is the chairperson of all banks Kisii chapter. He is also certified professional mediator, that is MTI. And above all, he is an entrepreneur, and currently he is the managing director at JM Factory Limited. On his community engagement, he is a financial advisor in PhD churches, mentor of all young professionals, and that he makes it very relevant for him to have him around. He's the chairperson of the BOM girls. He's also BOM member at Marada High School, and a director and chairperson of finance at the Story of Sugar Limited. He has also some hobbies, and he likes listening to the country music. So I hope the technicians will really have to play one of the country music before we get the program. And he is a practicing farmer. His life philosophy is becoming a better me every day. Fear of the Lord keeps him moving and never becoming through another day in his life. That gives him his energy. Thank you. Our next guest is Madam Isabella Lumumba. We are very privileged to have her. We'll ask her to join the panel. Madam Isabella Lumumba, on his education background, she holds a BSc in Education, English, and Literature from Moi University, and a Master's in Project Planning and Management from the University of Nairobi. On his career and growth, she has taught at Kilobon High School and Kirinyaga Technical Training, currently, which is Kirinyaga University, as the head of Literature Department. She has also taught literature at Delaware Technical and Community College, that is in the US. She has tried entrepreneurship in surprise and logistics, and currently exclusively in hospitality industry as a director of Kisii Resort and Kisii. In her community engagement, she is passionate about the environment and has earned various accolades from conservation organization on her Million Trees initiative. She is an active member of Kisii Rotary Club, and her hobbies are traveling to new destinations, reading, literature, and works, and community service. Her life philosophy it's got to be done, it has to be you. And her parting shot is live right with passion and a purpose. Our next guest is Doris Onyango. Let us welcome how it is. Mr. Maurice Onyango, his education background, he's an alumni of KCA University. He pursued a degree in commerce, specialized in finance, as he also studied at St. Joseph Seminary, accountant, a technical training, that is creative, and also in air navigation at School of Pilots. In his career, he's customs officer and currently customer experience in marketing and communication at Kenya Revenue Authority, Kisii branch. His hobby, he loves baseball and cricket batting. His life philosophy, moved by self-confidence and strong Christian beliefs. Thank you. The next guest is Mr. David Jones. Mr. David Jones is a certified public accountant. He holds a CPA and he is a qualified accountant and auditor. Having a CPA means that he cuts across most of the areas in the business field. He is currently the deputy manager at Kisii Huduma Center. His social engagement, he is a chairperson of development project at Catholic Church, and his hobbies is singing and listening to gospel music. Finally, we have one of our own, F.A. Paul Washur. Paul Washuri holds a master's degree in applied statistics at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. He has a bachelor's degrees in actuarial science from Kisii University. He is a certified financial investment analyst. He is CIPA K. He is also an emergency medical technician, that is EMT, at Kenya Council of Emergency Medical Technician. His career is a lecturer at the Department of Mathematics and Statistics, that is Kisii University, He is also an administrator at Student Affairs at Kisii University. He is a business analyst and business strategist at Saken Holdings Limited. On his social engagement, sorry, I think we have a bit of confusion in social engagement. Sorry. His hobbies are in sports, nature and adventure, meditation, and his life philosophy is the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. So those will be that will be our panelists this afternoon, who will be getting information that we need. I'll be joined by discussants with them. That is 50 Rodoni. We'll have Linus Musioka, who will be heading the discussion. We also have Francis Kihato and Eva Bisi Kenya. I'll call them to introduce themselves as we continue. So as they prepare, I will start off the discussion. In the morning, we had a discussion on digital economy and also some insights on the practices that are relevant to that field. And to start off our discussion, we have most of youth because we understand that in the current era, most of us, because of lack of finances and the economic crisis, have started something, things on our own. Most of us are selling some merchandise online. Most of us also doing some other businesses online. We've heard that we have a tax that we're supposed to pay. To this question, or to start our discussion, we'll ask Mr. Morris Onyago to explain us further on what basis the taxes that we are supposed to pay are the entrepreneurs supposed to engage with the KRA, especially when it comes to paying these taxes. I think we'll have his mic, him a mic. First of all, you start by saying something about yourself, and then tell us more about how can you be able to leverage on this digital era platform, and how can we be compliant with the tax, especially on the digital service.
Good afternoon. Now, the tax. The digital service tax. Setup. I said earlier, the tax has been introduced in the year 2020, but became effective on February 20. I mean, January 2nd, 2021. Why am I saying January 2nd, 2021? Because that is the tax point where we any transaction might have been done prior to that, you know, the subject to BST. But anything after 2nd of January, and the platform as they were discussed, I mean, as they were listed on my slides, you remember they become effective from that day. So if you develop an application to make money, then the first thing you require to do is to register a PIN. Now, if you are registering a company, you use that company. You can use that profile, the company profile to register for the digital service tax because it's there in the system. Then the other one is your personal PIN. Your personal PIN will mean you are operating as a sole proprietor. So the first process of the digital tax begins with the PIN registration. So if you don't have a PIN, you require to register the PIN first, and then you can now add DST. From there, it doesn't mean that if you don't earn anything, you pay tax. No. Taxes are related to what you do, the activities that you're engaged in, that brings in money. Now, there are quite a number. We'll come across questions. Double taxation, as far as digital service tax is concerned, is not there. Double taxation will just be there if we are charging you tax on the same obligation twice. But this is not the case. It's a separate tax. That's why it's different from VAT, and it's different from turnover tax, and it's different from rental income. So if you in our tax regime, it's set up in such a way that each of these taxes, there are different ways of working out the tax. So it is not that it's not like the corporate tax for last year is 25%. For this year it will be 30%. Now there is a new dimension in our taxation regime again, something which is called minimum tax. Minimum tax was also introduced in the last Finance Act, and it now touches on turnover of the business, not profits. Are we together?
Yes. Thank you. That is on digital taxation. That is on digital taxation, and we have had for those of us who have been fearing to start businesses because they are fearing the KRA people. I think we have someone to consult better, and I think we have gotten some enlightenment on that area. Now, for those of us who have businesses that are already running, and maybe we would like to open accounts in banks, and maybe you have some difficulties because you don't know where to start, because as we said from the beginning, that most of us because of the COVID have now expanded their mic. We'll have some right shared from the banking sector by Mr. James Maganda on what is required from us when we want to start businesses from the banking sector, and maybe what they will consider when maybe you apply for a loan to start businesses as a young person. Having that he is from Kenya Commercial Bank, there are some programs that have been run, especially like the JIRA. We will have more light on this. So I think let me welcome Mr. James to shed more light on that.
Thank you, Kinyo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think as a bank, our purpose is to unlock our potential. We realize that each one of us has a potential to do something. Once we know that something, we can build on that one. We are able to give you something that can fit where your potential is. As young people, you have an opportunity also to open accounts wherever. Through your phones, you can open an account, and through your phone, you can bank. Also, through your phone, you can withdraw fall in getting currents or the currents of your choice. If you are above 18 years, you don't need anybody to introduce you to have an account. You simply open an account for yourself, either using your phone or you can just open the bank. Why we like to unlock your potential, once we have started a journey with you, as a bank, our purpose is to ensure that we finish that journey with you. I can tell you for sure, last year there's a young man from Kisii University who is doing some small business. I think this one you can confirm and then confirm that it's possible. You can also do it. He started a small business. He used a student account banking, which student account later be converted to his account because it was more of business account, but it could not attract charges, of course, because the nature it was, the way it was supplied. Last year, in the middle of this COVID-19, last year, February, we gave him 200,000. Last month, we gave him 1 million. Last month, we gave him 1 million. Personally, I was moved by the way he's doing his business. Not so much big business, but it's the way he's honest to himself and even honest to the bank. One thing that I can tell you, young people, if you want to succeed in business, be honest to the bank. In life, there are 3 people you need to be honest to. One is a doctor, because he will give you all your secrets. The other one is a lawyer, because you can murder and tell you for sure I murdered somebody. And the other one is your banker, because you can tell you that this man is stone. Those 3 people, be very honest with them, and that's where we come in as a bank, that would like to know much about you. The more honest you are, the more honest you are likely to benefit from the banking institutions. And therefore, out of that, in as much as we are there to make profit also, we want to enable other people move forward. We want to be enabled as I told you. Not only to people, but even to other institutions. That's why KCB is 3 or 4 years, it was able to sell Jesper. And Jesper now is working. 1.5 years ago, we were able to buy NPK. Now NPK is our subsidiary. So we want to look at, we want to put this business in a bigger picture, a bit broader, so that we can gain more. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. James. Amongst our guests, we have an entrepreneur. She started. She has ventured in the hospitality industry. So we would like to hear from her how she started the business and the growth that she has been taken, and maybe we'll see whether we can learn some skills and some maybe management, because she holds also a master's degree in project management, which we believe are some of the skills she has used in the business. So let us welcome Madam Isabella Rumba to give more light on starting businesses or startups and making them grow to such a large organization. So welcome, Madam Isabella.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
I'm very happy to be here today, and particularly want to thank you for your warm welcome. I haven't spoken since morning. I think they were expecting to have lunch first so I can be strong and be able to speak. The lunch was delicious. Thank you so much. Now, I'm here in my capacity as a woman entrepreneur. I see you're not very well balanced here, Bwana Chair. Are you the one? Did you decide to discriminate? Ladies, we need to speak up more so that you have a better representation, isn't it? Yeah. All right, so I'm here in my capacity as a graduate teacher turned woman entrepreneur. And I want to encourage you all to think about venturing into the world of entrepreneurship. You are all aware that employment is now limited very few institutions are hiring as much as they were. My parents were telling me that when they graduated from Form 4, they were actually being sought out for different schools so that they can be hired. That is no longer happening. So that means we need to go out of our comfort zones and look for employment. And I want to encourage you today that you need to use your creativity, you need to use your knowledge so that you can create jobs for yourself, for your families, and for your colleagues so that you can hire other people. Let me tell you, when we got into the field of entrepreneurship, the supplies and the supplies company, it wasn't well. It was difficult. You have an NPO maybe from Kisii University, you're told supply things for 800,000 shillings, and you're told you have to give maybe a kickback of 200,000 shillings, and you're told the payment will not come to you until after 3-4 months. So it was a difficult time. What I want to encourage you is you need to be patient and tolerant. And if you fall down, be prepared to rise up and keep walking. Okay?
Yeah.
So the story of Felicity, we opened our doors in, shall I say, December 2009. And believe me, it is not what you see today. We had about 12 rooms, and they were so tiny, very, very small rooms. I'm sure if you, as you are now as a student, if you came there and you took one room, you're not going to be happy about it. But we were looking at the need to begin to put up a hotel because the ones that were already there were not good at all. They were dirty. Don't quote me. They were not clean, they were dirty, they were filthy, and we were thinking, why don't we put up a facility? Why don't we build a resort that is different, that is unique? And I can tell you, the location of Felicity had a reputation. It's called Young Congo. How many of you come from Kisii? How many of you come from Kisii? So we have Nyankongo, we have Jogo and other regions. But I hear Nyankongo had a terrible reputation. That all the Changa, all the Bisa, all the Nyasore, and all these things were there. So the idea of beginning a hotel in that region was not appealing. In fact, a friend of ours told us, do not bother building a hotel because rooms in Kisii are going for 500 shillings a night. And actually it took us to that room. We walked in there, we saw a lodging, it was big enough, it was 500 shillings bed and breakfast. And we were thinking, we would build a hotel and we'll be charging 3,000 shillings bed and breakfast. Said, no, don't waste your money. This is a friend up to today. He said, don't waste your money. Use it elsewhere. But we were positive. In fact, some other people also told us, you have trees here. And at that time, most hotels, when we use that word, actually were like clubs. They were built in the CBD, and its sole purpose was you listen to music, you take alcohol, you get drunk, you buy tea for 20 shillings and stuff like that. There was no place that was safe for families. There was no place where you could go, sit, have coffee, enjoy your meal outdoors, and just sit in a clean, safe, healthy environment. So people really discouraged us. So what I want to tell you here is never give up on your dream, on your hope, when you have set your mind on doing it. So if you had listened to all these naysayers, people who told us, don't, you can't go anywhere without a beer, we would not be having, you guys will not be having an Felicity to enjoy. Are you together?
Yeah.
So what else do I want to share with you that in the event you fall down, you need to rise up and get going. When I look at the year 2020 when COVID hit us, I'm telling you, I was in Kisii in Aga Khan Hospital for 3 weeks. I had a patient and I could not leave, and I was so worried. I was thinking, oh my God, now this COVID is going to get me, it's going to get my daughter. I will not even be able to go back home. And it was a really difficult time. And I'm sure for most of you, that's what you experienced. However, when I went back to Felicity and there were no customers, the loans were waiting for us. And at this juncture, I must thank Mr. James, because somehow the banks were very supportive and they were very kind. They allowed us to reschedule our loans and gave us about 6 months moratorium so that we could sustain the business as we wait for the business to pick up. So generally, I would say that COVID-19 brought the whole world onto their knees, isn't it? Everywhere. When you look at private institutions, you look at universities, you look at the hospitality industry, you look at schools, but I guess the only place that was thriving was the hospitals, isn't it? But again, after some point, they refused to allow people because if you're coughing, you have some kind of condition that is not, is worrying, they would refuse to attend to you, isn't it? We had cases of quite a number of people who passed away because the nurses or the caregivers were hesitant to attend to them because they were worried. Everyone was worried about their well-being, about their safety, and you can understand that. So generally, 2020 brought everyone to their knees. That was a time when many hotels closed doors, but at Felicity, we kind of encouraged ourselves and said, we're not going to close. We will work with a minimum workforce. Because can you imagine closing a room for 1 year and starting to reopen it? Can you imagine what that would take? It's very, very expensive and very, very costly because it's going to be dust, it's going to be musty, linen will not be clean and stuff like that. So what I can say as an entrepreneur is that COVID-19 was a calling for us to embrace technology. It was a time for us to do business in a smart way. One of the things I can say we quickly embraced was going cashless. And that really, really worked out well for us. Because one thing I can also tell you is human beings love money, isn't it? Isn't it? I love money, you love money. So our staff were also prone to temptation. If someone has paid you 20,000 shillings, maybe it's a fraction, you might be tempted to keep 1,000 shillings in your pocket, isn't it? Yeah. You declare 15,000, but you do what? You put 5,000 in your pocket, isn't it? Yeah. If of course you're a person of lack of integrity, you're not a person of integrity, you would do that. So I can say that COVID-19 showed us the need for us to embrace technology. And going cashless has worked out for us. So you see, you're paying by M-Pesa, you're paying by Visa, you're paying by bank transfer, but not cash. Of course, there are a few situations where you have to be flexible, but these has really worked out for us. And there are also other issues like online or social media. You see, if a guest wants to get in touch with you from the US, you have to make sure that your website is up to date. It has all the information that you require. It will be having your room rates, it will be having your costs, it will be having any other information that a client might require in order to access your service. So instead of waiting for someone to make physical calls, you're being told that let online media, let social media work for you. There are also these issues of takeout. If the customer is not coming to you, and you're an entrepreneur, what do? You have to go to the customer, isn't it? You have to reach out to the client. So using social media, you send out rates, you send out special offers, you're able to actually facilitate takeouts. People can order from the comfort of their homes, and you ensure that you deliver these foods to them, either using border riders or even cars and stuff like that. So generally, I would be saying that COVID-19 opened our eyes, especially in the industry, on how to do business in a smart, better way. Also, when it came to cleaning of roads, we had to find or we had to devise better, safer ways of cleaning the roads. There are gadgets right now in the market where you fumigate the roads, and it's not just spitting out water, it's spitting out vapor. So each time a client leaves the room, you fumigate the room, sanitize the room, close the doors for 3-4 hours, and at least in the evening the room will be clean and safe, ready for use. afraid of going out. They were afraid of hotels because they thought that is a sure way of getting COVID. So us as entrepreneurs, we were looking at ways to ensure that we maintain that continuity, we maintain that safety. We want the clients confident that our facility is safe. And similarly, you too need to be doing the same kind of things when you begin your own businesses. So again, some hotels, we haven't quite embraced that as a Felicity, also avoided using the physical menus. What that meant is you use your smartphone, you have your smartphone, you scan a code that you're given that is actually placed on the table, and from that scanning, you're able to look at the different options of menus, and then you're able to select your meal of preference. So generally, I would be saying that COVID-19 opened our doors for us to embrace technology, for us to adopt better, less cost and more cost-effective ways of doing business. For instance, we were also forced to, in order for us to manage our resources well, there was need for us to reduce the number of workers. It wouldn't make any sense to have 50 employees and the volume of business is low. So what happens is you rationalize and decide what makes sense for me. You know, it's an issue of, it's a painful issue, but it has to happen. I'm telling you, the big hotels, there are quite a number of big hotels in Nairobi that closed doors. And the staff were looking for jobs. Some of them actually, like some of us, we are lucky in that we were able to benefit from those qualified staff who were willing to locate to the villages, so to the counties rather, so that they can offer their qualified or their skills. And as a result, there was actually a win-win kind of situation. So generally, I want to say that you, the young people, you are the people who usually embrace technology first. If you compare a 25-year-old person and a 60-year-old person, I believe a 25-year-old person will go on YouTube, isn't it? Isn't it? You'll be more confident and more flexible to use that. So you are the young people, go out there, do research, all these social media that are out there, use them to patronize them so that you can grow your businesses. Because we cannot no longer ignore the power of social media. I'll tell you, before 2020, each time we received guests from Europe or these tours that Trump was saying, mostly they were coming from Denmark, they'll be saying, can we have your Wi-Fi password? So some of them were saying, don't even give me soap in the room, I want the Wi-Fi password. So what does that tell you? Wi-Fi, in order for them to reach out to their families at home, to communicate with their loved ones, and to do what they needed to do. So Wi-Fi, social media is something that we need to embrace it. We cannot run away from it. We cannot ignore it. So you as the young people, I want to encourage you, and I'm extremely excited I was very excited to listen to the last presentation about the gadget that is being developed by you, that it can be able to monitor the number of people who access a room so that the room temperatures are optimum, that people are safe. And I don't know, Bona Morris, are you going to check them this digital task?
There is qualifying the base. The way it has been set up is the way the data has been designed. It has. We are saying usage. They will be required to register first. You see, with KRA, just like VAT, if you don't register for VAT, then you cannot charge VAT. So for this one, you will be required to. First of all, you have to tell. If you open that page, it will ask you for get some information you require so that you qualify.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, let's change gears. And bearing in mind that the theme of the day is creative and innovative work system in time of crisis. Just to me, beginning with Paul Ashori, how creative have you been in your work system, bearing in mind that since COVID-19 hit hard? 2 minutes, Paul.
I think on my workstation, maybe beginning with the academia, you also that people are taught to go to e-learning, and we were having the learning management system from Kisii University. Though with its challenges that some things didn't address. For example, in my case, I take people through statistics and some units in actuarial. You'll get it was very hard to convey mathematics only. Like you needed something. So some of the systems, maybe they were not user-friendly, both to students and even to us, the administrators. So otherwise, maybe that's now we used to convert maybe to Zoom. Zoom was one of the things that were user-friendly. We saw other platforms that we don't use. But having said that, one thing I used to encourage students, even if it's having its own challenges, maybe you one day want to advance and go to abroad studies. In US or in UK, where people are not like. So it was all about adapting. The other works that we do remotely, like doing data analysis for you or doing a risk assessment, as long as we have the raw data. So it was quite good for my work.
Thank you. Thank you. That's nice. And what about you, Mr. What about you, Mr. James? What was happening in the banking sector concerning the COVID-19 crisis?
During the COVID-19, I think the banks were the center of all those issues because at least everybody has to go to the bank to get money, whether you are positive or negative. So that's how serious it was in the bank. However, we had to take measures. As far as the human resource department was concerned, we ensure that we had to work in ratios 60-40, so there will be 60% of the team in the office for 2 weeks and another team after 2 weeks. That's what we did. That's as far as staff was concerned. But for the customers again, we could request our staff to ensure that we ration the number of people who are served at one given time inside the bank, after sanitizing and taking the temperatures. So we also took all those measures. All meetings, all staff meetings, we canceled them. We could do them virtually, either through the Teams or Zoom. And that's what is now the new norm. Even at the meetings we used to go out of the country, sometimes going to Nairobi, those meetings are no longer there. Now we are conducting them through the teams. About the establishment, annually we at least employ staff. The whole of last year from April, we have not employed a new staff because there's nothing they will do for now. So until such a time that we are able again to analyze the risk, we do the risk matrix, we do all those things, that's when again we shall be able to see the necessity of having new staff. Thank you.
Yes, and I'd like to pass the baton on Mr. Morris, since Isabella had given us an insight for how her institution had handled the COVID-19 crisis.
Okay. KRA came up with the policy framework for the public institution was communicated through the president. And as KRA, we embarked on staff, a matrix of about 20% of staff. And those who are about 58, who are about 50, 58 with condition were allowed to work from home.
Did that mean a massive layoff of workers? When you say 20% of workers who are contributing their input into the institution?
We are saying 20%, we are retaining only 20% in the office. So we could operate on a rotational basis.
On a rotational basis, I get it.
Yeah. And then our our systems are such that we were able to create VPN to allow anyone who would not come to the office, and they would work from home. For breastfeeding mothers, they were not allowed to come to the office, and those who had other conditions, other pre-existing conditions which would not require their physical whatever in the office. So we make sure that we retain a very small number of people in the office.
Yes, and one question follow up on what you've been telling us. Has the VPN been there before, or is it a new mechanism that you instituted?
No, it was not there.
It was not there
prior to COVID.
And bearing in mind that it was a new mechanism, how effective was it?
You could not access the KRA back office support through that system. But immediately it came, we were enabled to install whatever in our laptops. So you can work from home. But again, whatever after the situation changed, it was again because of the risks.
Thank you, sir. Now let me bring on board David Jones. Briefly, 2 minutes.
Thank you. About Huduma Center. First of all, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Myself, I'm David Jones, the Deputy Center Manager of Huduma Center. At the outset of COVID-19, we closed down most of the services. Only 2 services were remaining. That is NLP, NLP National Diseases Bureau, which deals with the identificates and the birth certificates. The 2 services we were operating from March to June until after the lockdowns by the president. After that, as the PPEs were coming in, because the outset there were no enough PPEs. As they were coming in, we were calling back the most essential services one by one, so that to adapt to the COVID-19 precautions according to the app. So there we were observing the social distance, sanitizing, washing masks, and the faces of visitors. And in case of anybody with a flu, the person will be back home until it is confirmed by the minister that the person is okay. So we are sent out with the services.
Well, sir, you said only 2 functions of Huduma Center were operational. And one thing with the Huduma Center, some of the functions that you had closed down are interrelated with some of the functions that were on operation. How did you break that link? For instance, issuance of ID sometimes goes along with issuance of birth certificate. But in your case, you close down issuance of identification cards. So what happens to a citizen who goes and acquires a birth certificate and wants to proceed and acquire an identification card? Does that mean that if he goes through the first stage, he will not finish up to the end?
The 2 services are related mostly. Yeah. Currently, when you are opening a bank account, you must have a KRP and ID card. But for you to access or to process an ID card, you must have a birth certificate. So these 2 services are most essential that could not be closed down.
So specifically and strictly, the 2 essential services that were not closed down was issuance of ID and birth certificate. Okay. And let me hand over the mic to my co-moderator to pick it up from there.
Okay, my name is Purity Mudoni, and I'd like to start with our financial analyst. Probably would enlighten us on the impact of the government restrictions on the cash flow in the country during this coronavirus period.
Having that, so that I narrow down, bearing in mind that you are a financial analyst, right? Well, COVID-19 has quite hit the financial institutions, leading to financial distress in most of the corporations. And we know one of the targets that these corporations use to cope up with a financial crisis is mergers and acquisition. And previously in the year 2017 and 2019, we had witnessed some acquisition and measures. Just to mention a few, Mwalimu Sacco acquired an institution known as the Equatorial Commercial Bank. I&M Bank acquired Bureau Commercial Bank. That is in the year 2017 and 2014 respectively. And not the most latest one, but the acquisition that happened pre-COVID, before COVID happened, was basically acquired National Bank of Kenya. Well, we see a trend whereby before COVID-19 struck, institutions were already having financial crisis. And we imagine that after COVID-19 struck, the financial crisis get worse. So what do you think that did the countries continue employing this strategy of initiating mergers and acquisitions? And did they realize the synergy that they hope to realize? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I reiterated from my presentation in the morning. I think I did highlight some of the things that were happening. One was US-China war. And like you look on what is happening in Sub-Saharan Africa, everyone has realized that there's free market. And one of the things that I would say, the Kenyan economy is one of those that are very steadfast when it comes. And that's why you see now when times of crisis comes, the financial institutions are always regarded as essential service providers. And I think no bank goes there. So what happened, you saw the central bank coming on board, and also the bank acquisition. There were incentives that the government gave and directives. One of the things the banks were done, the liquidation reserve was reduced from 5.6 to 4.6, among other factors. Other things that the government did was making sure that the online banking platforms was free, like you remove your money, transact from your bank account to your M-Pesa free of charge. And even other mobile transactions were subsidized. In other areas on why it was happening so, and people might maybe not realize, in Sub-Saharan Africa, and we were got during the crisis. It used to happen even in Kenya. In Kenya, we are having a food security issue, which goes one-on-one with the financial sectors. Maybe what I would say the government would have done, maybe they would have brought all, because they were acting more directly, so the chairman of the banks, that's the boss, Mr. Joshua with the president and the CPK, they were taking more directly. But I do believe the financial institutions and the SMEs, they would have been given a platform where they negotiate on how they would have done the crisis. Because we saw also some financial sectors which were closed, whereas they did not have been. We are still gambling on what is so essential and what is not. And then another regulatory, maybe when it comes to Kenya Revenue Authority, the Central Bank of Kenya, and finally when we have talked about the mergers and acquisitions, we have something called the Competitions Authority of Kenya, CAK, which regulates that. And you cannot just wake up one day and you feel like you want to acquire this or this. There are processes that are taken, and then some they regulate. I guess an area I give, but don't quote me. There's a type Safaricom when you open an M-Pesa shop, you do not put in it. You do not have Airtel, you do not have equity agent, you do not have ACP. But the Competitions Authority Kenya came in and went to what there was a ruling, such that you have to allow free market flow and the financial control that. Such that when you are doing business, the mergers and acquisitions, because they lead to monopoly and cartels, that you feel the demand and supply in the market has not realized. Thank you.
Thank you for that insight. And by that, you mean that you're not looking forward to more mergers and acquisitions?
There is one ruling, I will not say so before it happens. There's already one, but the Competitions Authority of Kenya, that's why I say I cannot say which, but it's always happening. You saw like what happens with the NIC Bank and the CBA Bank when they merged. Yeah? And I don't know, maybe you would highlight on what it affected the banking sector. I don't see them moving. insurance companies. There are those that are on distress, not an insurance would be here. There's a problem, I think, with the liberty and heritage. Those branches from South Africa. We have seen. And what happens, especially to the bank, a bank does not just acquire they first go through the process with the central bank, which is a regulator. When it comes to the money markets and financial markets, we also have the Capital Markets Authority, which regulates the market, and the biggest player for the stock, also the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So we have those measures, but when it comes to recessions and the pandemic, the government will always give directives depending on how the economy was performing, and also to cushion those, especially the SMEs, so that it grows to bottom up.
Thank you. Now let's shift gears onto you, Mr. David. One thing I would like to find from you, one of the crucial roles of banks is contribution of capitals. And we have seen that also the banks have been focusing their attention also on the large firms. What happens to these small enterprises, which mostly affect the youth, who engage themselves in startups and venture apps? Do these banks also consider them, bearing in mind that these are small enterprises, and bearing in mind that most of these banks focus mostly on large firms?
That is not true. It's a belief that most people will put their effort on these big banks. But let me say something which will fill your statement. Most banks, they bill their customers, and most people are billed by the banks. The concentration of this country by now, if we wanted to work on our economy, we should go and support the micro business, so that out of the micro, we're able to get the SME. Out of this SME, then we are likely to build on the corporate. That's how it should be. But most institutions, they believe the bigger picture. They want only to see maybe the corporate or the SME. Now coming to where we have banks, and most of these the so-called small banks, I don't know whether you call them small banks. There's no bank that is small, because all banks, we all fall under one regulator, that's the CPK. So once you are given authority to operate as a bank, you are a bank. You are not small, you are not big. But the way you are able to build on your capacity, the way you are able to build on your business, the way you are able to present yourself, and the way you are able to execute your strategic plan, that's what makes a big bank. That's why now, like, I want to give an example of KCP. KCP, many years back, it was regarded as a government bank. The bank that was perceived the greatest bank was PPK. But the strategic plan, KCP being a Kenyan bank, had a strategic plan that keep it afloat for some time. And it has rest on working on that strategic plan, improving it, so that it becomes the greatest bank that we are talking about. So I think it's about perception. On the greatness of a bank, it's about perception, but also it depends on the plan of each bank. Let me say something about what's likely to happen going forward, and I think my colleague here will confirm that. Going forward, it's going to be a bit difficult to start a circle, and if you started a circle, maybe it will be very difficult to have people to believe and trust you. So the big operatives will continue to be big. It will not be easy like you will start now a bank and just take off like that. It's going to be a bit difficult, which means we have to build the existing circles. We have to build the existing banks. And even some banks going forward will seek partnership, because some banks will not be able to operate. That's a fact. That's why even some institutions, they're learning institutions sometimes, they have to come to close their branches, and so that they have the bigger branch operate. because of pandemic, the boost and all those things. So going forward, we are likely to see a lot of mergers in banks, in cooperatives, and even in insurance companies. In fact, what my colleague said about insurance, most institutions now, like the bank, they're doing insurance. What does it mean to other new insurance companies? Thank you.
Well, sir, not to you again. Well, you call it a perception, but research and studies show that the majority of small enterprises prefer acquiring a loan from a circle rather than a bank. Why they decide? They prefer acquiring a loan from circles and these microfinancial institutions rather than from a bank.
Thank you. I think, and I want to put it very clear to the young people, and this is what we are thinking. One of the things that qualifies you to get a loan from a circle are your shares. True. Yes. In the bank, nothing. Another qualification maybe in a circle, you get 3 times your shares. In the bank, it's about what is in your salary. I want to put I want to clarify a few things here. Most young people today, they are able to have houses, not because of circles, but because of banks. Because immediately you have your employment rate and you go to the bank and get a loan. But there are those people who, while the whole school, they believe that you must save for you to get a loan. If you work it out, and I want to advise you this free advice, professional advice, that you would like to buy a house today, which will appreciate in the next 3 years. If you wanted to sell it, you will get the money that you could have saved or gotten from the circle. Instead of borrowing, in the circle, you are borrowing against your money. You're not borrowing the circle's money, you're borrowing against your money. That is the difference, and that's where most people go wrong. But for young people, I think of late, you're seeing somebody is employed 2-3 days, he has a plot and he has a house. He has business. He is married and he is paid down. And somebody is driving. Just after 6 months, somebody is driving him, that is the choice. So that's where the problem is. And I think we need to work on that one. And I think we have gotten it for free.
Madam Isabella, you've given us some of the measures that you put in place to ensure that your business remained afloat during this pandemic, even as others were shutting down. So are you intending to keep these measures even after the pandemic? And on the part of your employee, what mechanisms have you put in place to ensure that their welfare is considered?
Thank you so much. The regulations that the government gave to the hospitality industry to ensure that the safety to the customer and to the workers are good regulations. They're good requirements, and we are, by the law, required to maintain them. So yes, we are maintaining them. And going forward, I think it was a brilliant idea. I would just want to say that imagine in those days that were pre-COVID, that you would meet 10 people and you'd shake the hand of those 10 people and you'd have those 10 people and you never thought about what you are exposing yourself to. So I would think personally, not having to shake someone's hand is a good result, is a good outcome of this COVID. And I would really want to maintain it. It's better to do the elbow or to do the gutter. It will work better for us going forward. So other measures that I mentioned, like going cashless, that's a good thing even for your business going forward. If you do set up your own enterprise, it's better so that you don't tempt your workers with cash money. Cash is a bad thing. Cash can cause problems, cash can make you a thief, cash can make you whatever it can make you. So it's better not to tempt your workers by using cash. So, and other issues like embracing technology, those are good things that we want to keep going forward because we see that we do more using technology, we do less using the human but his online stuff with the internet, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes.
How many times are you seated in someone's office, you've got Wi-Fi, and you're doing your own things, you're Googling your own things, you're not actually being productive for the institution. So yes, we will, going forward, embrace technology in terms of increasing our revenue resources and becoming more efficient so that we maintain our businesses and make them sustainable going forward. About staff, you cannot fully replace human resource with technology. It's impossible because you need a human touch. I want to say that we have to do out some kind of carry out a rationalization process to see whether we all want to go under or we want to be sustainable. You get what I'm saying? You need to decide, make a decision and say, do you want to keep 30 workers and close the business? Or do you want to decide to make a choice and say, keep a few and release a few? Keep a few and maintain some so that, to make the business sustainable. And also going forward, we had to engage our staff. We had to bring them together, bring them close to us so that they can understand that this was not a process of witch hunting. It's a process of deciding to make certain decisions that might be painful now, but they'll be better tomorrow, post-COVID, isn't it? So we talked to them, we thanked them, we appreciate them. Those who had to go, we had to give them certain allowances so that they still feel part of the institution, because there's always the emotional aspect of our workplace. So yes, we did take care, much as it might not be the best, but we did consider our workers and those who are there working right now. One of the things that we quickly did was to put the workers at 50%. And when that wasn't working, we pushed it to 70%. And hopefully now when things pick up and the stability in the business, then we'll take it back to the 100%. So yes, we had to work with the workers from the difficult times to the much better times, and going forward, we should just, everything should revert to the pre-COVID.
Mr. James, just before we ask a question to Akiari, Mr. James, do you think that the universities, especially right now after adopting the online classes through the learning management system, do you think they are offering the necessary skills that are required for students out there for them to survive in the corporate world? And if not, what are some of the aspects and measures that should be put in place or included in the university curriculum to ensure that our students get the required skills so that when we are done with campus, we can be able to probably join startups or even get employment in our fields of study?
Thank you. One thing I like to say about the universities, by the way, and I want to be honest, because I've also passed through university, 90% of what we are doing here, you may not do it in your environment. It's just going, it's knowledge anyway that you have. And I want to be very clear, either the curriculum is obsolete or the curriculum does not understand the job market. One of us is wrong. And that's why at KCB, we have come up with the KCB Foundation. Besides foundation, we have internship programs where we pick up few students from various universities to align them with what is required in the job market. Because most of the time, what happens, somebody does faculty, say education, the next day is in the bank. Now, those are some of the areas we are trying. How can we as a bank align education to the bank? And I want to be very specific, like in KCB now we have a training school. We call it a leadership center, where we take most of the students who we bring from various universities. It's like an academy. they get the knowledge that we need in the bank, and at the end of the day, we push them to the bank. So what I'm trying to confirm to you is that whatever you are offering in universities, most of it is not relevant in most institutions. That's my position. It's not relevant.
Well, let's see what Francis has to say about it.
But it doesn't mean that you don't be preached because you're not. But when you come like your employer will introduce you to what he thinks you should do. And I want to be very specific. I don't know if the lecturer is here. In the university, in our place of work, one of the most critical things that we teach people is character. Character takes a session of like 6 months. Maybe it's not important in the university, but in your next place of work, it's very important.
Well, Brother Francis, before we get to Paul, Brother Francis, we have heard that 90% of what we learn in Kisii University is not applicable elsewhere. What do you have to say about that? In fact, Kisii University.
I think that is 100%. Because I have always told you, and I want to be clear on this, a degree does not give you a job. A degree offers you to work the opportunities that are available. So degree, we don't train you for the job market, we train you so that you can be able to offer, to be able to become useful in the society. That's what the degree does. However, there are certain degrees that are automatically related to the profession. For instance, when we train you as a doctor, you become a doctor. When we train you as an engineer, you become an engineer because we say that engineering. But remember, there is something very key that our guest speaker is speaking about, and this is character formation. Because without that character formation, education is what remains after all your degree certificates have been banned. Please put that somewhere for your memory. Education is what remains after all your degree certificates have been banned. They don't exist. Can you stand out there and say, I can do this, not because I got a first class, but I can do this because I have modeled myself to be able to transform this situation into something productive. So we are also debating as universities. In fact, every 5 years we do curriculum reviews, but we are also debating what is wrong, because there is a very serious disconnect between industry and academia. Very serious disconnect. And that disconnect is happening because we are living at a time where, as I say, a former lecturer of mine used to say, we all pay for education, but we don't want to get education. So we want to get the marks, the scores, but we are not learning what is it that entails education when we finish school. So that statement, I support it 100%, and that is why we continuously are doing curriculum reviews. But are you, as students, learning, or you are here to pass time and get degrees? That is the question he is asking you. Are you as a student learning or passing time to get degrees and go home? There will be no job if you get a first class but you have not grown, you have not been nurtured, you have not been mentored. There won't be a job for you. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, on that note, I just want to report what Brother Francis has said. Right now, if you are aware, the government is now actually focusing all its resources on TVET. You are aware that if you get a D plus, minimum of D plus or whatever, a minimum of D plus, then you can qualify to get a loan and join any technical training institution of your choice. Why am I saying? Why is the government backtracking and deciding that they no longer want to focus on universities as much as they were before? This is because there are so many graduates that are being churned out from the different universities. We have all these, like 1,000, 10,000, maybe 10,000 joining the workforce every year. But there are no jobs that are growing at that rate. So the government decided that they need to nurture the students to learn to come up with their own businesses, to learn to be entrepreneurs. If you learn a tool, if you learn a skill, for instance, you can become a plumber. I can tell you, at my place, at my workplace, I have looked for a qualified plumber every now and then, and I don't get. Because the plumbers are not well trained. They do not have the right skills, the right way about to actually do the work as professionally as they should be. So if you have,
the plumbers are quacks, you mean to say that?
Yes, I can stand by that. I don't want to bring the quack here, but we do have quacks. Yeah, so we are saying that learn a tool, learn a skill that you can use to set up your own enterprise so that you can become independent. You have used your knowledge to be independent and to help other people become independent because you will hire them. And remember, not everyone can set up the business, but you can hire other people if you're good. So know that education is to assist you to stand on your own 2 feet, use it to get independent.
Wow. Education is what remains after your certificates get back. That got me thinking. And before you add on that, Paul, first comment, you added to comment on Dr. Isabella.
Yes, I wanted to talk on education because I'm an expert. Now, one thing I'll tell you about education, and that is say, you think it's expensive, say ignorance. I want to get that devil's advocate on this issue. You see what is happening in the world, and you ask a serious question whether we are looking for a better thing. You are saying, and it's true, we have no future for circles. They are under the devolved system of government. They are under industrialization. Nowadays, the circles that regulates the circles, they don't have, they are like a tourist group, for lacking of a better one. Now, I want to say this. What happens to corporates for advanced countries, like for example, is what we call, they come to students. Like for example, you're doing actuarial science or you're doing media. What is your worth in the market? So they go to the bank and the insurance. I remember you were at a conference in Strathmore, and Strathmore is trying to do that. They underwrite you on the salary that you should get there, depending on the skills you have. Like for example, you cannot advise someone on financial matters, on accounting matters. If you are not licensed, how can we hold you accountable? That will come if you have undergone a process or you have learned. What I think is bringing on is totally from the education. That is the skills that are necessary for survival. Like for example, what she's taking about planning, those are some of the things that you take up as passion as you grow by. How do you check your electricity in your house, above, and others? But for education, take it to the bank. You just need the papers. And you have a serious crisis. We have a lot of gap for professionals. Simply because after each formal system is done, people don't want to go beyond that other than the scores as they have seen. But there's a big room for people. Like the CPS, the certified public accountants in Kenya, they are less than 8,000. Financial analysts, which I am one of them, we are less than 700. What does that tell you? The paramedics, the emergency medical technician, they are less than 900. So there is always a gap. So take your education seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, quickly, let's move to the second plenary, which is adoption of technology and data. Speaking of technology and data, we have seen an emergence of cryptocurrency, which is a digital and encrypted medium of exchange. Just briefly, 30 seconds, tell us what is cryptocurrency. Allow each panelist a minimum of 30 seconds. Kindly, let's go around. Cryptocurrency. What is cryptocurrency? Briefly, 30 seconds. What is cryptocurrency? Okay. To kickstart the conversation.
I just want to take a rain check. I have absolutely no much information on cryptocurrency. Thank you for accepting my rain check.
Cryptocurrencies, I say for those who are in Nigeria or in the finance, they are something that is called that you derive value from things that are existing. And give a layman's example. Like, for example, people don't know, you must not necessarily trade in shares for Kisii, but you can trade on deliveries for Kisii. So what those guys did, they were trying to compete with the market, but coming with algorithms. This from the statistics. It came from the people from the US and UK. So what they did, they tried to create something, borrowing the idea from the stock market of derivatives, of transacting something, borrowed the value from. I would have given an NBA history on how they are linked to that. So it's something that has been existing, but now it comes to cryptocurrencies, and one example is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is one of the cryptocurrencies, but they have been there. The same case we talk of the euro, we have green gold and others. So cryptocurrencies is people try to trade with the value on something, and that's why it's for select few, and they are making a killing in the market. Now, people are making out of money, but in the near future, it will be like a pyramid scheme. So if you want to go to cryptocurrencies, it's the highest rate.
Well, in fact, I wanted just to give it a simple definition. And that's what my brothers it's a pyramid scheme. It's like this hands, how do you call those things? The hex they were studying the squares. The quail hex. Yeah, it's simply a pyramid scheme. And in fact, it's one thing that we had a discussion with your vice chancellor, by the way. Those are the people who came with the coin and all those things. And in fact, I'm sure that there were a lot of people who were born in this region. And most of them three were from Kisii University, I guess. And another one from a lecturer in the Kisii National Containment. Basically, what I can tell you, it's a pyramid scheme. Just take it like that. Because if you want to trade, for us like Kenyans, if you wanted to trade, let's go to the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Let's go to the exchange. And there are so many exchanges, by the way. I also participate in the exchange, in the coffee exchange, which is now which has been put in place, and other exchanges. So just you can switch off and go to these exchanges, which we know and which we can see value, we can get value out of it. However, the guy who is CFA,
Financial analyst,
certified financial analyst, there's something he said, and this one I want to comment, and for the friends, I want you to pick it up. I also have a son in Strathmore, and something you say is very true. Who is doing financial engineering? They have a very clear path that after here, this is where I'll join in terms of employment, so that is tailored towards that institution. That's what now they are doing. In fact, even there are scholarships. Right now, you do a scholarship, because I saw you doing it. You go to the specific place where your specific thing that you want to do can be done for. So again, it's something as educationists you need to think so that we make our degrees very marketable and acceptable. I wanted to give an example of a young man who left here. In fact, that's why I told you that whatever we are doing may not be able to assist us. That guy did education, but he's a banker. A disconnect. Beauty to Mojama, what did she do?
She was actually education.
Yes, she's now the relationship manager. So we can model that which you are doing, but the most critical thing I want to insist on is your character. Will your character keep you there?
thank you. I'll just hand over the mic to Purity to share something to us.
I'd like to ask, how does KRA, probably Huduma Center, ensure that they give guaranteed information security to their clients?
Okay. Maybe on Huduma Center,
Yeah.
KRS has created several platforms. So in our systems, at the Huduma Center, we use their domain, the main domain for that to access the care platforms. But now when you come, whatever services you get for at Huduma Center is the same service you get at any care office. We are using Huduma Center as first contact solution center, so that they pick up the issues and then they escalate to the office. They escalate to back office processing. So if you have a technical issue, you walk into a Huduma Center, then they may not be able to serve you into conclusion. But we already have at the back office there, the information is now brought back to for further processing in our main office. So they are not delays. But of course, the services which are most of our services now, because of we are online on everything, including payment in the bank. You can pay through your M-Pesa up to a maximum of 50,000. That one you can pay direct using your M-Pesa. You don't have to go to the bank. So we also save businessmen from the time they spend going to the bank and other than checks and so on. But the system is such that is user-friendly. Even on your smartphone, you are able to file a return on your phone.
Thank you. KRA Huduma Center. Huduma is a one-stop shop where you get tools, departments, and agencies under one roof. So KRA came a bit late because we wanted many services to be, but others have fallen in Huduma Center. So the KRA Huduma Center, they have a desk at Huduma Center where anyone or any students who is having care, you file an annual returns because you are not yet having any salary. And in case you are not filing, Mr. Boris will tell you, we given an alternative way, we advise you to file. They know how to waive it away but you are advised that all students and anyone person having an ID card must have a personal identification number to file their returns. So services at Huduma Center of Care, they're not paid. But the ones at the back office, where the staff came from, most of services are paid, where you file the returns are paid. But at Huduma Center, none is paid.
Thank you. At this juncture, we are going to allow questions from the student, and the questions that will be corrected by Francis Kihato. And so from here, Kihato will guide the question, how they will be taken from the students, so that we conclude.
Okay, thank you. I am Francis Kihato. I'll try to request the students maybe, and also then see, maybe you can write a question that you'd like to ask the panelists, and also, okay, you'll write the questions on the paper, then the MC will collect them, and then we will ask them on your behalf. Okay, thank you. But first, as you start, I would like to ask one question. Okay, so what are the soft skills that we require to acquire what before we complete school that will ensure that we are competitive in the corporate world, in both the private and the public sector?
Shall I?
Yeah.
Okay, one of the soft skills that we really think are just top up there would be empathy. Empathy is a word that means understanding and support. Empathy is a word that means, that requires you to sympathize, to try and put yourself in a situation of another person so that you may know how best to respond to that particular situation. So empathy is very important. And empathy is to understand someone's situation. So empathy is up there. Number two, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is not something that your teacher will teach you. It is something that you learn, that you acquire the way you have been brought up at home. How do you share, for instance, work at home? How do you, for instance, respond to your parents' issues? How do you respond to your gardener? Are you abusive? Are you kind? Are you supportive? Are you understanding? Do you treat your workers as genuine people? Do you support them? Do you care for them when they're hungry, when they're sick, when they're tired? Are you sympathetic? So those are some of the soft skills that are really important. And also communication. If you have an issue, you need to bring it to the table. You cannot assume that the other person can read your mind. So if you have an issue, you need to speak it out, you need to reach out, you need to open up and talk about it so that it can be resolved, it can be attended to. If not, it will continue to be a thorn that has been put under the carpet, and it will continue causing friction and conflict. So for me, those are 3 points that are up there for soft skills that you need to acquaint yourself with as you're leaving university and you're hoping to join the workforce. No one will teach you these things, but they reflect a lot on your upbringing and how you have related with each other in school, at home, in a work situation, etc., etc. So that is very important. You need to have those soft skills.
KRA, there are quite a number of initiatives they have put in place. Like now we have a program for attachment for a period of 3 months, and then internship for a period of 1 year. Now the other very important thing that you may need to do, KESRA has introduced very many courses relating to tax and customs administration, and the courses ranges from a certificate course runs for a period of 3 months. So if you are interested in coming to KRA, you start from there. You can pick a certificate course. Of course, it's not very expensive as diploma. Diploma runs for a period of 1 or 2 years. No? Then higher national diploma is for those who already have degrees. No? And then the other one is higher national diploma and postgraduate diploma. And then the master's degree in tax and custom administration. So if you are interested, the first one which you should have put yourself to, which you should be able to afford immediately when you are still in college, try to go to our website, check on the certificate course, because it's just 3 months and it's online.
Okay.
Online. Yeah.
Thank you. On to you, David Jones. Can you pull up some of the questions that are being brought online? And the first question I'll pose it to you, David Jones. So the first question is, what is the future of tax considering shifts in economic power, technological change, great urbanization, climate change, and resource scarcity? What is basically asking, what is the future of tax? So, what is the future of tax considering the economic shifts and technological changes?
For tax,
What is okay?
Just repeat again.
What is the future of tax considering the economic shifts and the technological changes that are happening?
Okay. What moving forward, in the future of tax, KRA has adopted new strategies when in relation to, we are responding to COVID, the effect of COVID and the impact of, on this now, what we are saying is, in future, with technology, we are eliminating all those punitive, we are calling punitive measures which were earlier on experienced in KRA. Like you see, if we delay audits, you accumulate very huge liabilities. If you delay audits, you accumulate very huge liabilities. But now, beginning this year, now, like for example, this year, the introduction of minimum tax on corporates and business, individual businesses, we really improve on revenue collection and the timeliness of this.
Thank you. Right now,
Okay, maybe for now, the time is so much gone, and I think most of you have posted some questions online, and so I think for now we'll just hand over the part. We'll just move over to the next part, and then you'll get the feedback on your question on the website. Yeah, thank you.
So thank you so much. We have so many questions that continue gathering them. So we'll have them typed, posted to our website. We're getting the feedback from there. At this time, because we have another program that is ahead of us, and time is so much gone, we'll ask the guests to join us. For that, we'll have Savannah as we go. We have 1 minute package shot from Madam Isabella as she goes. So that we have the next question.
Thank you. Are we together? Yes. May I have your attention? Yes. All right. I just have a general comment, because I am here as one of you, because I was requested to be here to participate in this lovely symposium. But I'm also here as a mother, as a woman entrepreneur, and since my colleague, who is my boss, Mr. Morris, is here, I just wanted to ask him a question. Am I allowed?
Yes.
Yeah, so my question would be, KRA, you are mandated with the responsibility of collecting taxes. And I know you do have targets. And I know you really zero in on people like us. And sometimes it can be very painful and very difficult. What do you do? What incentives do you give entrepreneurs? Much as you're tasked with the responsibility to collect, do you have another phase when you're doing these collections? Are you supportive? Are you understanding? What if I'm late to pay my taxes? Do we have structures in place that can allow us to pay in bits?
Yes.
I mean, in other words, just what is the human face of caring? Thank you.
Now, what carriers keep so many, we have a program like for this year now we are having a voluntary disclosure program which will run for a period of 3 years. Now, to avoid audits and unnecessary investigation, you need to take advantage of that program, because the commissioner has allowed any undisclosed income from the year 2015 to 2020. If you do it voluntarily under this program, you will not be penalized. You will not be penalized. You will waive all the penalties. For those who disclose their undisclosed income this year before the program, the first year now, this 2021, they will enjoy 100% tax penalty, waivers of penalties and interest. For those who will next year, they will only pay 50% of penalties and interest signed on the security. On the final year, it will be 25%. So the program is starting for a period of 3 years. So now, you answer me properly. As for you today, if you come to the office, I'll give you the projection of what you are supposed to pay for the year 2021, because the information is already in the system. So if you get that information early enough, because of the minimum tax, then what will happen? You can plan for it because they are being paid in installment, and therefore installment. So once you get the figures, you start the first installment will come in April, the second one in June, September, and then December. So here you require tax planning for the purposes of not coming into conflict with KRA. Because if they call you, you will automatically get a demand notice. And demand notice are given for a period of, the first one is 14 days. Then the second one is 7 days. Now, there is no time demand. What follows after that is an agency notice to close your bank account. Sawa. We've done that. Then we've done that, and there are remedies for that, but subject to another very punitive process. So we are encouraging. That's why we are conducting more taxpayer education to ensure that you really understand exactly how you should comply with all the tax obligations. So from income tax, to pay as you want, the brackets were widened. And then now we have a unified payroll system whereby we have integrated the NSSF, NHIF, and it's called what? This one for lady training level. So those ones, you don't have to go to those institutions. You only need to file one return. Once you file, we are collecting on their behalf. So you just file the paying return and you can capture all the other information and we settle in the whatever in the other institution. So if you do a proper tax planning, you should be able to get your installments even tomorrow you come. I mean, no matter you come to the website, I'll give you so that you start planning early for this one. For VAT, we are introducing what we call tax invoice management system. This one will be an invoice validator. So that invoice validator means if you do a transaction on a year, like now, you are just selling products and you are registered for VAT, that VAT will be captured automatically in iTax. So you don't have to declare it again. It will be already in the system. So if you buy from a supplier and you buy from a supplier and now you're finding your VAT return, you will find those credits in the system. You don't have to create the normal works. So it's just a question of how well a business is prepared to face the tax money. If you come to the proper address, and how come banks banks will always give us even their audited accounts and not unaudited accounts, and they publish them. Then they finally come back and businesses we demand. For businesses, unless you send them a demand notice with some very whatever which you are avoiding, the enforcement type of letters. If you don't do that, you cannot even get audited accounts. Now you wonder, do we do business and then you fail even to, you don't even have records? What I can tell you here in Kisii, almost 95% of businesses, if I ask them to produce a final account, you tell me I'm not accountant. Are you seeing the answers you get? So, madam, you can see, well, that's why when you don't have records yourself, the commissioner will use his power, and it will always be the higher of the two, not the lower. So what we need to do is we need to keep proper records, and then we also have let's engage accountants to give us the financial statement. Look at it, and then we also come and seek advice from the KRA.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that explanation. At this juncture, we are going to call our final presenter, his brother Francis. To give a background on brother Francis. He has been with us. We know him, but it is good we understand him on a good foundation. First, we are going to go through his academic background. Brother Francis has a BA in philosophy and religious studies, which he studied at Albaniana University, that is in Rome. He has a BA in religious studies at Catholic University of Eastern Africa, and also at Trauma in Biblical Theology at Tagaza College. He also have a BA psychology that is in USIU. He also started at the University of in Nigeria, in the University of Ibadan, and he studied licentiate canon law. He has a master's in religious pluralism, which he studied in the USA, and also a master's in counseling psychology in Bugema University, Uganda. His career, he is head of student service at Notre Dame University, Australia, and also assistant dean of students at Kisii University. His community engagement is a director of aboriginal services at Karaburu, Western Australia, director World Vision Encouraging, that is Group Diocese Australia, and also a life member of Kenya Scouts Association. His hobbies are cooking and growing others and camping. His life philosophy is life is a gift to give others. So live that others can live with you. Thank you. Let us give him a round of applause.
The last time somebody tried to introduce me, I was tired because it really took the time. I always thought I am not ashamed of what I have done, what I have studied, but I find that it is too much. And as I said, education is not the purpose that I have. Education is what has remained long after I have done those purposes. I am here to do a very simple task, but which is really challenging. I want you to use your left hand and touch your right ear. Use your left hand and touch your right ear. Okay, thank you. I already did what I wanted to discover. I realized that so many of us were struggling, first of all, to check and change, and they realized this is not allowed. And that is actually what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk briefly about mental health and COVID-19. Okay? That is a mental health test I was doing to see whether you are mentally sound or you are mentally challenged. This is how I do. And that presentation as Edgar is getting it on the screen for us. I want to repeat 3 quotes from this man called Bill Gates. And I am repeating these words not because I like Bill Gates so much, but I'm repeating them because I know they have been taken out of context and they have lied to men and women who have mind, who have brains. And one of the things that my brother James was speaking about in universities, one of the things that I think that we lost through the doors of education is critical thinking. Critical thinking and creative management. The moment we lost that, we've lost the university, we've lost the individual freedom, and we've lost the identity. That's why I challenge you and say it's not what the university is giving you, but what are you meant to take from the university. The late Professor Joseph Nyasani teaching me philosophy, used to tell me, there is only one thing that people pay for and they don't want to get it. And I always was wondering, what is that? And they would end up and say education. And I can actually give a test to all of us here. Some of us paid to be in this conference, but we have stayed outside the conference longer than we have been in the conference. Amen? Some of us paid for school to be in campus, but the number of hours we are in class and the number of hours we are not in class, the number of hours not in class are so that's the reality of what it is. So I like because Bill Gates tried to give us and put us into focus. In 2015, Bill Gates was just being asked questions after the terrible Ebola virus in Liberia. And this is one thing he said. If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it is most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. He said it's not the wars that are going to kill many people in this world. It is a virus. A small thing that can be handled even before it begins to kill. And then he said, you can have a virus where people feel well enough while they are infectious that they get on a plane and they get to a market and so they kill others. Isn't that what COVID-19 was? Isn't that what COVID-19 was? You are sick, but because your immunity is not that weak for you to be in the incubator, or not incubator, ventilator, you are walking, you are meeting us, and you are passing on the COVID-19. And some of us are dying while you are living. And then in 2017, during the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, he also had this to say: the impact of a huge epidemic, like a flu epidemic, would be phenomenal because all the supply chains would break down. There'd be a lot of panic. Many of our systems would be overloaded. And I think Bill Gates speaking these things in 2017, we got the reality in 2020. A very small thing coming from Wuhan made the entire world, all the systems, broken. And indeed, the first system that was broken is our mental health. Our mental capacities to be able to engage and do things were broken. Even before I go back there, I want just to point a few things. And these are things we all know. On the 15th of March, 2020, the government of Kenya declared all schools and colleges closed. That is a fact. Now, after closing schools, what do you think happened to the mindset of our people? The first thing is that defeatism entered into our psychology, that we are defeated. If the government is closing schools because of what is happening in China, then we are all dying. We began to have a defeatist mentality. And that defeatist mentality, therefore, leads to many other things that we go through as a people. Now, when that happened, it meant that all education and learning was interrupted, including yours. We sent you home. And then quickly, universities were able to metamorphose. They say, we can do this thing online. Even in primary schools, I saw the CS declare and tell the primary schools and high schools that they could do online studies. But that online study was in itself a mental health damage, because not many people have the capacity to be able to attain the online knowledge, online education. Some of us come from backgrounds where we've never seen this thing called booster. So there is no network. In the first place to call me when I'm home is a problem. You don't catch me. So how do you expect me to take a class when I'm home? Some of us, we are doing things that are mathematical. Not that maths cannot be taught online, but we had not been prepared that we can be taught maths online. So it becomes a problem. It becomes a mental quagmire. And so education, in short, was like a storm. But also what it created was that education became exclusivist rather than being inclusive. What is the meaning of education? Education is the equalizer of humanity. That is what it's supposed to be. We are supposed to be equated. We are supposed to be brought closer together because of education. Thanks to education, a poor child coming from a very poor background can actually make it to Stanford University and become the best doctor in the world. Because of education, somebody who comes from a place where they have never known how to own a bike can be able to fly a plane. But this pandemic created a situation where education became others were left behind while others continued to march on. Then there was nutritional challenges while we were home. Most people were pushed together in the village and there was nothing that was available for them. The choices of the food that is available, it was limited. Some people did not even have meals because the other thing is we had job losses and economic loss. So there was no income. And all this was going to be affecting our mental center, was affecting our mental ability, our self-belief, our self-efficacy. That self-belief that we can be able to achieve things that we need to achieve. We all know at some time there was I don't know whether it was a research, but LTV and the media put up a list, and they say that Machakos had 4,000 teenage pregnancies. What was it in your county? Bungoma was how many? Yeah, hakuna mtu wa Bungoma, Kakamega, Kisumu, Kisii, Edi. Okay, Kisii was 1,200, Kakamega was 2,000. 1,200, and the boda guys complained. They say, these guys wametuibia. It's as if ni gold walikuwa wamepata, so wameibiwa. But they say we had more pregnancy than the one declared. Amen? That was the mental realities that we had. We know that during this time, there were people who were rendered homeless. I remember that there were many people who stayed here, but they were not supposed to stay here. And therefore, leading to drug use, people began to use drugs so as to calm themselves down from the pandemic, from the fear, from the loss, from the grief that was going on. Families were broken. There was a lot of STV going on. People were really violating each other sexually and morally. And so these are all realities that we carry with ourselves. These are all realities that we think about even when we sit in a conference like this. And what is the best thing? We always assume. Yes. Please read that with me. 1, 2, 3, let's go. No. Let's read the one in the box first. 3, 2, 1, go. How many would agree with that statement? How many would agree with that statement? Okay, so that means that we are all sick. Our society is sick. The problem is we do not know how to voice the sickness that is eating into us. In the bank industry, that my brother is speaking about, there are people who are sick, and that is why character is not possible. Because if I am sick, whatever you tell me will not work. I will always be looking at things from my dimension. In the academy, that is the same thing. Lecturers are sick. Vice chancellors are sick. Students, therefore, are sick. Guards are sick. So we are all around fighting each other. We are all around kicking each other. But we are kicking each other for something we do not know. If only we understood how to say, how to voice and say this is what is happening. I always say, COVID-19 and any pandemic brings to us a mental health tsunami. We always have tsunamis around mental health. We are like, all of us are sick because we will begin to grieve. So my view is, there is no health without mental health. You can think you are healthy, you can think you are eaten well, you can think your body is good, but if you do not have your health is not stable. In psychology, we say disease. We don't say disease like the doctors say. When a doctor says disease, it means amekupima damu akaona kuna malaria hapo kidogo anasema that's disease. In psychology, we say disease, but we don't put it one word. We say D-I-S, we put an I-N, then we put is. So you are sick not because necessarily there is actually a physiological thing. You are sick because your mind does not have ease. Your mind does not have peace. And how many of us right now, as we are seated here, are touching their phone? You are busy touching your phone and I'm busy speaking. That is a disease, if you didn't know. You are not at ease because something outside there is calling you. You need to respond to this. And so there is no such a time we are going to say that things are so nice, that we are all healthy. No, we are not. Because things outside there are demanding so much. Are we able to offer that? I don't know. Now let's look at a little statistic. I want us just to look this very quickly because my slides are very few. In the US, 45% of adults are experiencing anxiety and stress. 45% of 400 million. Can you tabulate that and see how many people are sick? That is the US. The US is supposed to be the superpower. It's supposed to be the place where you touch what you want and you get. You're not supposed to be worried about anything. They are sick. In the UK, our mother, common one, 33% of people have experienced high levels of anxiety. 33%, and we are talking about 2020. This is statistics cover between July and December 2020. What am I having here? July and December 2020. So we are speaking 33% of people in England have a very high level of anxiety. Okay? In Italy, a survey identified post-traumatic stress symptoms at 37. Mtu akona PSTD. They discovered stress at 21, severe anxiety at 20, depressive symptoms at 17, insomnia. Na hii inasumbua karibu wanafunzi wote wa campus. Insomnia. Either some of you are having insomnia meaning hypersomnia meaning yaani unalala hutaki kuamka. You are sleeping, it is already 10 a.m. bado unalala. Sio kweli? There are people wamechoka sana kwa mwili, sio? And you are wondering why is it that these days I'm sleeping too much? Because you are sick, because your mind needs to be decongested, your mind needs to be renewed. Or some of us are having insomnia. Insomnia is where you have little sleep. So there is early insomnia, middle insomnia, and late insomnia. Early insomnia ni ile unatafuta usingizi haikam. Usingizi haikam, mpaka unajaribu usijue kule nini ndio ulale, but usingizi hakuna. Then middle ni ile unaingia kwa kitanda kulala, but then after a short while unastuka, na ukistuka usingizi ikama. Sawa. And then late insomnia ni ile ikishafika 3 a.m. upende usipende umeamka. You are up. You are not catching any sleep. It's a disease. Okay? We are sick. It's a sign of sickness. Now you can imagine that is in Italy 70%, but I am sure if we were to do a quick check here, out of this about 200 people, we could actually get more or less 5 to 8% coming out. In Kenya, 42% of the public population that visited health facilities was undergoing depression and related symptoms. 42. We are talking about 4 or 5 months, a sequence of 5 months. All the people who tried to go to the hospital, they were depressive in nature. In other words, they had lost hope. They had begun to give up their life. In China, the prevalence of depression among healthcare workers. Now China, it was even worse because they couldn't do the statistics, so they did on healthcare workers. China anyway. Any of you who saw when they were migrating from Wuhan, you saw how many planes who came to collect them, and those who had come to Wuhan to ensure that the COVID does not go on. Now there are many things about Wuhan that I wouldn't want to speak, otherwise I'll become something else. They found that 51% of the health workers suffered from anxiety, 45% insomnia, depression 51, anxiety 45, insomnia 36, and 74 post-traumatic stress symptoms. Meaning, COVID-19 was not only a stressor, it was traumatic. It affected us traumatically. I mean, look at it. Let's take for an instance, all of us are used to rituals in burials. We send our people away via ritual. And here is a situation, your relative has died and you cannot even come close to that COVID. You are not allowed to see. The body is brought at night with police, they bury it. Please don't go there. Unaona watu wamefalia nguo zingine wanaita siku hizi nilikuja kusikia ni PPE. Hiyo time sikujua nilikuwa najua ni tandarua. They use, they just come and they just do everything and you are not there. What happens immediately? We do not grieve. So grief goes back inside and it begins to manifest itself in the things we are seeing in schools now. It begins to manifest itself in the relationships that we break every day. it begins to manifest itself in the situation that we are in class but we are not learning. Uko hapo lakini hauko hapo. People are seeing you physically present but mentally you are nowhere. Hauko kwa sababu of BSTD. From July 2020, many are reporting specific negative impacts on their mental health and well-being, such as difficulty sleeping or eating, anorexia. Watu wanakula sana, yani mtu anachapa chakula mpaka unashangaa. Huyu ni yule alikuwa anakula kidogo na anachapa chakula kwa kweli. Anakula breakfast, tena chai ya saa 4 atakula na akule mandazi na akule mayai na alafu atakunywa soda katikati na atakula chips na bado hivyo atakula lunch, bado atakula lunch. And they have no problem. So we are also in the process, we are developing another disease, obesity. Obesity in itself destroys your self-image. And once your self-image is destroyed, your mental status is sick because you will always be wanting to be what you cannot be. Okay? You want to reduce yourself, you can't reduce yourself. You want to grow yourself. Oh, kuna wale wengine obesity. Sasa kuna wengine hawakuli because wanasema, okay, one would be there is no food, but the other one would be they want to create an image. Ladies, they want eight, figure 8, so that akitembea kila mtu anafeel kuna mtu anakam, and especially now that we are going towards Parliament. Okay? There is also a lot of increase in alcohol consumption and substance use. This is a reality in universities, and I'm speaking to university students mainly, but also it's a serious problem in families and in workplaces. Manager, you would not be surprised if one day you decided just immediately everybody comes in the morning, you just say, hey guys, everybody to my office, we have a quick meeting. Why get to our office? So in a normal boardroom, kuna enough ventilation. Hausikiagi harufu zote. Invite them to your small office. Wacha waingie tu wote hapo ndani and they are breathing. Utashangaa kuna bangi you are feeling bangi smoke. Unashindwa imetoka wapi? Na ukiuliza kuna mtu hapa ameona bangi, kila mtu atasema by the way bangi hata ukinionyesha mimi sijui vile inakaa. Na huyo ndiye amefuta that. Why people are doing this to avoid, because they are cheating themselves that if you smoke or if you drink, it's going to drain your duress. It is going to take away your stress. It's going to take away your tension. The other day, somebody created a line that the president has said curfew has been removed. By the way, curfew imetolewa. Yeah? Yeah? But I thought, in fact, I saw, I saw somebody pass the message that President may throw a curfew, so now we can enjoy. And some people were there already celebrating. Now we can go and watch again. Do you think they are going to watch again? They are running away from the reality of their brokenness because you do not manage to sit down with yourself or your family, the closer people, if you are mentally uncomfortable. You don't. Your family becomes a mess. Your family becomes a bother. You think when people do mpango wakati, they are doing it because the people out there are beautiful? No, they are duress. They are duress and they don't want their husbands or wives to know that they are weak, that they are going through problems. So what do? They go out and try to find consolation, but that consolation leads from one thing to the next to the other. Okay? Those are the realities. And of course, even you in campus, guys, I know that marijuana, tunadanganyana that it will help us do many things. Let's ignore vile vitu zingine zenye tunasoma. For now, keep your mindset. Now, when we speak about mental health problems, there are so many things that are predicates to that. So many things. But basically, when you have large-scale disasters, what happens is that we normally try to find a way to caveat our egos, to caveat who we are, to cover ourselves, to hide our identity, to hide that platform we had created for ourselves. Everything is crumbling down here, but we are trying to swim up top. We are trying to remain afloat. And those things that we do then, we call them the masks that we wear, or the defense mechanisms that we create, sometimes end up becoming void and incapable of achieving anything for us. But now, in the instance of COVID, I chose 3 specific things that I studied or that I've looked at, which actually have affected us so much on mental health. The first one is the uncertainties and perceptions related to the immediate impact of coronavirus on our health. Now, did you guys ever get a chance to go to the hospital and see somebody who was suffering from COVID-19? Now, hospital, anybody who went? Anybody who had a chance to go there? Yes, I think because you are only one, I want to hear your testimony. Come for a minute. Just come and tell me what you felt as you saw those guys. What did you feel when you saw that guy in that state, whichever is a guy, a man, a woman, whoever?
I had a friend who had been put to bed because of COVID-19. And the worst part of COVID-19 is somebody has a breathing difficulty. Just imagine, for instance, you take a polythene paper, you put it on your head, and try to ensure there's no air getting to you. Try to suffocate yourself. That is the worst pain. You come up to ground. You're down, much in the overflow, you're trying to breathe, you're running out of energy. And the more you're trying to breathe, is the more you are losing your energy. So that's the worst pain I've ever seen.
Thank you. Thank you. He just told us the pain that he saw. Now, I had a privilege, or a disprivilege, I don't know how you look at it, of visiting people and taking to them sacramental life while they were in the isolation wards. I sat there and talked somebody to die. Tell somebody it's okay. You will go to heaven if you die because you have done everything okay. I told the people, you don't have to continue suffering. If it is time, let it happen. You know how difficult it is to tell somebody, kubali ukufe, because you can't die until you accept. You didn't know that. You can't die until you accept. That is why when they shoot you, Ngere will die, and this one got 7 bullets na bado wako hai. Na ule alipata moja, amekufa. That is why you will find people in the same car, a vehicle has become mangled iko kama karatasi, na mtu ametoka ndani na acha kufa, na wengine wote wameenda. Because we all accept to die. If you don't accept, you don't die. That's a new teaching maybe. But that is what it is. So here I am seeing people, and people are telling me I am dying. But nataka nitolewe hapa nipelekwe Aga Khan hospital so that I can be helped. And then you are talking to the doctor, and the doctor tells you, you know what, brother, don't even bother. The lungs collapsed, kila kitu imeisha, and we cannot resuscitate those ones. And so you have to tell this man or woman, don't worry, man. What is going to happen is that they are doing their best to keep away the pain for you, but there's nothing else they can do even if you go to Aga Khan. That's the hardest part. And when you do that to people, you begin realizing how useless your life is in this kind of situation. You begin realizing how fragile you can be, how easy your life can be wiped away. Remember, young people, always you see yourself as immortal and everlasting. You cannot die. HIV is story, haitakuwa accident, hata ukipanda boda unaona vijana wadogo wa boda wakishika boda unasikia vile inaenda. Yaani inaenda mpaka unafikiri ni kitu fulani imeenda tu. Because they don't think they will die. But when you face a reality like that, the fear is real. And that fear begins to create lack of self-belief. You begin to doubt your own existence. And that messes your mental stamina. The second thing I noticed with COVID-19 was the concerns about the economic consequences through loss of jobs and livelihoods. I'm calling this deaths of despair. So many of our people are dead that they are walking. They are dead because they have despaired. They don't see any reason to live for tomorrow because tomorrow does not portend any hope for them. They don't see whether tomorrow they are going to be better because today they lost the only means of their livelihood. And you expect them to wake up tomorrow morning? What are they waking up towards? Madam is saying here that they had to let people go. It's very painful for any CEO to sack anybody after they have employed you. But sometimes they are forced to. Okay, there are some CEOs who are inhuman, but most like the ones who are here are very good. Now, I will tell you something, how difficult it is. You have been fired all your time, you wasted your time. Oh, no. You used your time creatively in the institution where you are employed. So ukiamka asubuhi unajua penye unaenda, na unajua utakaa hapo saa ngapi, na unajua chenye utafanya, na unajua ukitoka hapa watoto wako wakirudi nyumbani watapata chakula at the end of the day. Now, all of a sudden, you have all that time before you, and you have nothing to do with that time. You've never planned for it. You've been sad. You used to report to your office at 8 and leave at 5. Now you cannot report to the office because there is no office. So the office is waking up and coming out. Those children, when you umekuwa ukitoroka kwa nyumba, sasa hao ndio unapata. They are your workmates. So kamote kanakuja kanasema, "Hey daddy, umekuanga wapi? Like, you know, where have you been dad? Mbona sijakuzoea?" Kingine kanakuja kutoka huko, "Daddy, mimi nataka mkate na bruba." Na wewe sasa hiyo huna any. What happens to you? You begin to feel that you have nothing to offer your own children. You begin to see yourself dead. You begin to see you are dead. And this is affecting even us. Our parents are suffering this way. And let me tell you, the students, please. Your parents suffer a lot, but they lie to you. They lie to you. No parent will come out na unalia na akwambia mtoto sina hata ndugu. Most of them will lie to you. They will tell you, nimesikia mami, nimesikia that I will do something. Yet they have nothing to give you. So they will go out there, struggle so hard to bring to you. Now, we'll answer to West. The last thing that I see about this is what I call the impact of containment measures. Remember, we were told for a long time to be under curfew. Curfew was good to help us physiologically, but it destroyed us mentally. Because when you put people in isolation, when you put people into the four corners of a place that they are so used to, their mental creativity goes. And when their mental creativity goes, their self-belief goes. Their self-worth goes. So they begin becoming a mess. They begin becoming small zombies in their own homes. And that now shatters everything that happens. It's good. So, approaches to dealing with mental health. I said I will try and make my slides simple because I'm not teaching. This is a very serious area. Approaches. And my approach is simply, let us all take responsibility. Simple. Everyone, responsibility. The answer to mental health is responsibility. You want to deal with mental health? Take responsibility. And when I speak about responsibility, it is in three ways. One, personal responsibility. What are the things that you can do, even as a student, to be able to deal with the duress, stress that COVID-19 has left along your life? Most of you missed exams, missed lectures. Therefore, what happens? Are you going to come out of campus very late? So some of the things you can do, you do them for yourself. For instance, one, get out there and do some exercise. Stop sitting in your bed all the time, eating your food and staying at home. Get out there and do some exercise so that you are able to rejuvenate and achieve things. Eat some healthy food. Wacha kukula chunky kila wakati. Eat some greens. Enjoy some fruits. And you don't have to eat every meal that comes your way. The second is collective or social responsibility. All of us have a responsibility for the well-being of your brother and sister. The person next to you, you have a duty and an obligation to see that they are safe, that they are healthy. So what does that mean? You need not stress people out. You need to help people to deal with stress, not stress them. So don't become a stressor that pushes me to go into mental health disorders. Okay? Number three, institutional or policy. You see, Paul was speaking about knowledge gap. Knowledge gap. In this country, we have 100 psychiatrists. 100, like 1, 2, 3, pakamia. 100 psychiatrists. We have 213 clinical psychologists. We have 446 qualified counseling psychologists. Now tell me, against 47 million, what is that? What can that do? So we need somehow to begin to put in our institutional policies. We need to begin to influence, and you have a great role here. Through those county participation things, you have a great role to begin to demand that the county can begin to prioritize this field, that they can begin to fund you guys to study these fields which will help our people, because it doesn't matter where you are, you will need this professional mental health professional. I think I should be finishing. So, those are the things I'm speaking about. One is access to and utilization of professional mental health services. Here in school, in campus, we have opportunities for you. But remember, the opportunities we have are mainly for students. So what happens to our staff? So our staff, we tend to believe that they have money, so they can go outside and pay for a counseling session. The cheapest counseling session is 1,500 shillings per hour. Cheapest, 1,500 shillings per hour. Ukimaliza hiyo 1 hour, you need the second hour, you pay another 1,500. Now you can imagine. But we have students who still feel like, how do I go and talk about my story? How do I go and talk about my brokenness? Now you need to begin to be champions and ambassadors of that. Remind people that if you feel unwell, it's okay that you are not unwell. It's okay that you feel disturbed. Now go and get help. Sawa sawa. It is not, don't blame anybody that they are not okay. Ukiona jamaa anatembea na anachiongelesha, anachiongelesha kabisa, ana breathe. Don't condemn them na useme wamekula bangi, because that is the normal problem we have as Africans and lack of professionals. We always will blame it. Huyo jamaa amekula bangi amechizi. No, let's have a professional evaluate that person. How do we use the mass media? Young people, we are a disease in this. It is said that every individual young person ages between 12 and 26 uses 75 hours. 75 hours. Yani 75. Unaona 75? In a week. Yani kukukua social media na hakuna kitu unatuma. Hakuna kitu unatuma hata kidogo. You are just there watching people's status. What will they add to you? When you are watching my status, you are actually limiting yourself. You are stressing yourself. Because you will see that I have done something, na wewe haujafikia hiyo. So you begin comparing yourself with me. Wrong. When you begin comparing yourself with me, you are done. Because your mind is not set that way. Okay? So stop watching those status, for God's sake. Just tell yourself from today, I shall not see or watch anybody's status. Please tell yourself that. I realize the reason we are all complaining is because people are saying, ninaweka watu waone na unasema wasione. You know, that is the complaint we have. But then I am proposing this. Can we, even in our social media communications, can we begin to communicate messages of hope, messages of renewal? Wewe uko kwa WhatsApp group, alafu unaweka watu wa kuna mangumi, wanafuatana na mreka. Now, what are you doing to your fellow comrades? You are actually telling them we need to be fighting. We need to be doing nonsense. You see, can you put something that is positive so that we can begin to decongest the mind and whatever is happening there? Equipping community health workers, CHVs, these guys do a great lot. And mostly these are social workers. They have not been trained in psychology, but they are social workers. If we can begin to train them, and this is what universities do through the agenda called peer counselors. I see scouts here, I see a number of St. John, and I see quite a number of people here who have been trained in peer counseling. What are you doing with that skill that the university gave you? How is it helping you impact your brother or sister during this period of COVID-19? Step out, share your stories, and help them to see other things. Because if we can reduce the stigma that is around our people, if we can reduce the stigma that is there when somebody does not have food, we are healing those people. Tapping cultural and spiritual attributes and resources to provide social support. Some of us stopped going to church because we say, Mungu, tutapatana hiyo siku ya yenye ninakufa, sivyo? You know, some years back in the 1960s, it always repeats itself. People stopped going to church, and what they were doing is, let us enjoy now, because we know when God comes, we shall repent. Please, have a relationship with God. But also, even taking a time and sing, unajua kuimba, lakini sio Easter, ni okote. Those ones don't help you. Sing some song, you know, ile ya, which song can I do? Yeah? You know, when you wake up in the morning and you're going to your bathroom and you begin, na uko chini ya shawa, unaona mwili inaenda ukioga na spirit inaenda, and then you know what happens. It's okay, that is even better. And unamwona na brain to even sawa sawa. And what we are saying is, try and use the spiritual resources that you have to be able to help you deal with the duress you have. Trust me, a grateful heart is always a healthy heart. You can take that to the bank and deposit it with our manager. A grateful heart is always a healthy heart, because if you know how to say thank you, you know when to say I don't have to compete. It is okay. All right? So learn to be grateful. And lastly, let us try to find ways to reduce the economic gap. Of course, governments are doing stimulus plans, economic incentives, but for us as Congress, what can we do to reduce the economic gap? So you have a friend who is hungry, share the little things you have. There are some of you who are doing side hustles, as you call them. Sometimes I say those side hustles can be the things that come really handy. Okay. Now I want to ask, for instance, Camp Society. I would hope that from here you probably are putting something together, you know, something together. Kila mtu aleta inaitwa BYO, bring your own. Okay. Panga tu siku on a Saturday tupatane Church Square. Kila mtu tu akuje na chenye ako nayo kwa nyumba yake. Tuunganishe pamoja, alafu tugawe tukule. Can you imagine ngidheri na ugali imechanganywa na rice pamoja, and then we are sharing? That is called enriching, supporting each other. I don't literally mean that, because I hope you are more creative to understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: we need to share. We need to be ready to engage and share with each other. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no health without mental health. But that can be done if we take responsibility. God bless you, and may we continue to achieve more.
We are right up to 5. So I think if everybody you are following us, there was one of our guests who was telling on our way. He had a kind of problem. Mr. Raymond Momani. So Raymond Momani, you can have him briefly for, and then from there you are going to the award. So just the results are ready, and then from there we do the final award.
Hello, good evening. Hello. I can confirm if I'm audible enough. Someone can confirm. Hello. Hello. Someone confirm. Am I there? Now, thank you so much for confirming. My name is Raymond Momani. I do insurance, so I'm a career broker and a risk assessor. Currently with a company called Unitas, where I'm the CEO and the founder at the same time. So I will give you a brief of what we do. Of course, I can share on screen. Let me see. So I will not do a presentation. I'll just do more of a summary of what I was to share today. And of course, I will at the same time register my apologies for not attending physically because of day-to-day commitments. So which I understand all as, of course, registered my apology. So Unitas, what we do, basically we do insurance. So I will give the services that we do. So these are the services that we do. And of course, I'm trying to look at COVID. We have not been slowed down by COVID. That is one good thing, which most guys will be like, why a good thing? And of course, we have had COVID. So to take you through the services, so of course we do risk assessment, we do claims management, insurance broking, we do employee benefits, financial consultancy, investment consultancy, and strategy management. So that is basically what Unitas does. We have survived COVID. So I could say COVID came and it made us even stronger. So what I was to base my discussion today on was the crisis. So the crisis, if you look at it, you can get to interpret it in two ways. One, as a negative aspect, you can decide to see it as an opportunity. So for my discussion, for my presentation, which I was to do today, I preferred to go the opportunity way. I never want to look at life negatively. So for me, it has never been more of a scare. For me, it was an opportunity. It came in to, of course, get to reset the way we do things, the way we run business, and of course, telling us exactly in the next 5, 10 years, we need to twist. We need to have a twist of exactly what we look at as entrepreneurs when you try to look at exactly what the world is looking for, what the population is looking for. So this is where my presentation was basically to be based on. So I choose to look at the character representing opportunity, and that is what exactly I'm going to look at. So to get out of this, of course, I was looking at, of course, we have a lot of things which have changed, sales models, but I will not discuss that. And then I will discuss one important aspect about the whole crisis, which of course we can read. This, a crisis situation offers the chance to focus all the innovation and creativity towards a very real problem. This one, we had a problem to deal with. So it's up to you as an individual, as a student, as a facilitator, as a teacher, how exactly do I face this problem? We have those guys who decided to see it negatively. We have those guys who decided to see it positively as an opportunity to change the way they see life, the way they do things, and the way, of course, they wish the world to look at them. So I could proudly say that as Unitas and my team, we saw COVID as an opportunity. We saw COVID as a plus. And of course, it gave us a problem to solve. And that is exactly why we exist. Are you here to solve a problem? Or are you here to be part of the problem? Which I will encourage all of us. Can we be part of a solution? Can we look at exactly how do we contribute towards solving a problem? That is why we go to school. That is why we go through the systems. So if you go through the system and then at the end of the day, you're not able to solve a problem, then for me, I will assume and I will say it without fear, you don't even need to be in that system. You just need to sit and audit yourself and ask yourself those basic questions. Why am I here? 12th of Feb, why will I be attending this kind of a symposium? Where, of course, we have had facilitators, we have had speakers talking about life. Why will you want to be there? So it's up to you to get to look at it and ask yourself those basic questions. So for some of us, speaking as an employer and as an employee, there's a lot to look at in life. So for me, I can get to look at it from two perspectives. As an employee, of course, you want to go to work, get paid, you go home. But do you add value to that institution? That is what exactly you need also to ask yourself, which of course, I know you guys have been here the whole day. We have had a lot of things to pick. But one thing I will wish you to look at, as a youth, look at life this way. Before COVID, we had, most guys didn't even care exactly about the internet. Most people didn't care exactly about how you can make money online. But with COVID, that is why I'm looking at it as an opportunity. COVID came in, and I can tell you, if you look at now, you try to compare just the basic kind of study, just go back to where you live, back to your village, where you shop, you'll get to see that things have changed. The way we shop, the way we sell, the way we interact, the way we do, the way we work. Of course, people nowadays now they're not so much into the office space. So those are the kind of things you need to ask yourself. Am I here to add value? What exactly have I learned? So I don't want to go through this presentation. I think the only thing I wish you guys to get is the following. One speaker asked the question, are you learning or reading to get a degree? Which I'll get to agree with the other speaker. What you are doing now at Kisii University will add value to your life if only you can get to understand, how do I get skill out of this whole thing? How do I get to the market out there? That's exactly what you need to look at. So these are the basic questions you need to ask yourself. School and life are two different things. Where, of course, I said as an employer, I get to look at life differently. As an employee, I look at life differently. How? As an employee, of course, for me, I just expect to get paid end of the month, whether I worked or not, whether I match the skills or not. But as an employer, I have people to take care of. So whether there's COVID, it's no COVID, these guys still have to be taken care of. These guys have families to feed. These guys they have their whole kind of expenses to take care of them. How exactly do you get to check through the whole structure? So as a student, ask yourself those basic questions. How exactly do I want to add value after I leave this institution? Are you leaving the institution to go out there and, of course, get to a point where, of course, you keep applying for jobs and they don't come through, and you keep blaming the system? But I will tell you, it's not about the system. It's about you. We had another session last night where, of course, we were saying we have a lot of job opportunities, but are we taking them up? We're not taking them up because we have chosen to ignore. We have chosen to stick to one mindset. I trained as a teacher, I want to be a teacher. I trained as a banker, I want to be a banker. But I will tell you, you need to drop that notion as you get out of school, because life is completely a different thing. Your attitude counts, skill counts. So those are the kind of things you need to look at. Look at your character. I'll tell you that's what we call discipline, interest. What exactly are you interested in after school? What do you want to do? You want to get a job, but how? Count on your character, count on your discipline. Attitude is key. And then, of course, work on the skill. These are the things I wish to advise the young guys to get to look at. And the moment we look at that, trust me, a lot will get to add up. So guys, thank you so much. I don't want to take much of the time. I know you've been here the whole day. I wish you all the very best. The panelists on the other side, thank you so much, guys, for facilitating the whole event. For some of us, yes, we missed, but you have done a good job. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Kisii University. And of course, we look forward to other one-on-one at some point, at some time in the near future, because I'm always very much available and willing to join Kisii University to do more of this. So guys, thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moy. Mr. Raymond. Thank you, Mr. Raymond. We are happy with the teacher before we go on right. Now, at this juncture, I want to have all the presenters on stage. The greetings kindly be on stage. Let's move first.
and then the chief judge will join in. And, yes, let's be fast. I hope someone to get the question. So we can have the chief judge. We can have the chief judge give the results and then give the comments.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I'm happy to be here today, and I'm humbled to have this opportunity to be the chief judge for all the presentations that were done today. And mine would be today. Mine would be today to announce the winners. And what I'm going to do now, I shall begin with the second runners-up, who did very well and managed to score a percentage of 78%. And this is the Bapita. Very, very proud of you.
Thank you. And then I want to call the manager, Kisii, to come and award. The party cover, there's not one to do the party cover. You want for the photo.
Thank you. Now let us look at the second runners-up. They did very well, made us very proud, and they managed to attain 80%. That is the FANCA, Pure and Applied Sciences. And finally, the big guy, the best. These are winners, and they got 85%, the Tax Society.
You want to something? And also the KCB manager had something for the participants. So the manager KCB. Your brown envelope is there. The first runner-up, number 3, that is number 3. Thank you for the second runner. Number 2. Thank you. And finally, our winners. You have brought in. Thank you. Let's applaud for all the participants. And now our judges.